Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one on a Wednesday. So today, guys, the market started off very red, but recovered at the end of the day and actually going green. Very volatile day, guys, but we did hit some oversold conditions here on the lower time frames, and then we got a heck of a bounce into the end of the day. So without further ado, we will get into our major indexes, our major tech names, and lastly, take a look at my portfolio because I did rearrange a few little positions around, which I have to share with you guys. So let's get into it right away, guys. So SPY up 0.04% on the day, QQQ 0.23. Other indexes are mixed, but our outperformer on the day was the Russell. Russell held up the gains better than most today. Take a look on the heat map here. You will see fairly mixed market, right? Financials, healthcare not cooperating. Most of our tech was indeed green, and then pretty much a mixed market across the board. Tesla here pulling back ever so slightly. On the one-day relative performance, you can see that once again, mixed market led by energy. Oil was having a very big day today, guys. But you can see technology and communication services ended up in the green, and our major loser on the day is utilities. On the 1 week relative, you can see that still all of our major sectors in the red on the week, except for energy. So where do we stand here, guys? So what I wanted to show you guys first right here on the SPY, right? So SPY, obviously, daily downtrend. Anybody can actually see that. It's clear as day, right? But this 200-day moving averages is acting a bit as support here. So what we were looking out for, guys, I was telling you guys, keep an eye out on the 420 range. That is when you usually get some heavy support coming in here. And we pretty much bounced off it beautifully. You can see that there was a tiny gap back here to be filled in June. We filled the gap and bounced right out, guys. So I do like what I saw on the hourly. So you can see if I scroll back here on the hourly, guys, it was pretty much full bear control. But on this last little leg here, you can see that the bulls were able to put in an engulfing move, which even carried into the after hours here. So remains to be seen. Can we get a hourly uptrend started? If we get an hourly uptrend, guys, your daily bounce will be underway, and then we will look to the bulls to see how high can the bulls bounce. Now, if you ask me to put my money on it, guys, this whole area here, the 435 area, which does also key in with our moving average as well, could be an area where we do pull back into up, right? And then it remains to be seen, can the bulls reset the daily uptrend to the upside, or will this just be another opportunities for the bears to set your lower high, right? And then flush to lower lows and continue weekly consolidation. But it's looking decent for the start of a daily bounce. Anything is possible, however. The week does end here on Friday, of course. What I meant to say by that is your monthly candle also closes on Friday. So it remains to be seen, guys. Are we going to close the month bright red, or can we get a little bit of a tail? As you can see, we're reacting from the 12 EMA right here. So decent movement into the end of the day on SPY, but I'm not convinced. Need to see more. SPY still in oversold conditions that you can see down here on the RSI, right? So pretty oversold still on SPY. So can't expect a bounce to come, guys. Tomorrow, definitely, if we gap down, it will possibly also be oversold conditions, potentially due for a little bit of a bounce here. But nice to see the bulls come alive in the end of the day. No real news that triggered it either. And the story of the day has been the yields, guys. The yields have absolutely skyrocketed, right? You can see the 10-year yield is currently sitting at all-time highs, right? 4.6 now on the 10-year, right? Crushing our previous all-time highs here. Well, not true all-time highs, but pretty much in the last 10 years, right? 10-year highs on the 10-year yield. And you can even see this on the 20-year all yields. But these are the most notable to me because they're the longer-term time frame yields. And usually these are the more speculative yields. So that's why I am trying to pick up some TLT, right? TLT is your 20-year bonds. This chart, as soon as this chart tops out, that will mark the bottom of TLT as well. And I'm playing TLT through TMF. I also bought a bit more TMF today as we're sitting down here at the lows. But you can see these bonds are absolutely crushed. And these are the most receptive to changes in interest rates. So when interest rates do peak and start dropping off a little bit in terms of Wall Street long-term expectations for yields, then these charts should fly pretty good. We should see a pretty crisp reversal in the 20-year here. So keep an eye out on that, guys. QQQ now. QQQ also daily downtrend is pretty much underway here, right? So clear as day, daily downtrend. Any little bounce here, now that we have crushed our lows, any little bounce will just be for a lower high. Pretty much anything below 372 is just looking for a lower high. And then depending on the size of the bounce, we will determine whether we can save this, set a new daily uptrend, or whether the bears are just going to continue in their daily downtrend and push the weekly lows further, right? So weekly downtrend is underway here. The most important charts for me now, guys, since we're in a weekly downtrend, I need to see the daily uptrend reversal. If we don't get a daily uptrend reversal, guys, you can't say that your weekly bounce is underway. So that's what I'll be looking out for. Nice little engulfing move on the tail end of the day on QQQ as well. You can see that we haven't really been able to get many of these moves going, right, with much traction. Had a little one up here, bears rolled over. Had a little one up here too, bears rolled over the next day. So can we carry into tomorrow and set an hourly uptrend for the first time, guys, since we started dropping from all the way up here after the FOMC meeting? So keep an eye on that. XLF financials, another red day on financials here, looking to bottom out. Financials deep oversold at this point in relation to most recent history, right? So you can see the RSI down here all the way crushed. And the last time it hit here was obviously the banking crisis. And prior to that, guys, you'd have to go back to last September. Like I was saying in yesterday's video, very fitting that a lot of these RSI levels, look at SPY, right? SPY oversold. When's the last time that it got this low? Well, funny enough, last September. QQQ, when's the last time that we got this oversold on QQQ? You would have to go back to either December, this December crush, or last September. So September seasonality, guys, is a real thing, right? It's happened now 2 years in a row where we get crushed the last 2 weeks of September. So we will see if this is enough for the bulls to start a short-term bounce here on QQQ, start an hourly uptrend, get our daily bounce underway here, and then we'll see how high can the bulls bring it. If we can get above or at these moving averages, guys, it creates a decent little amount of space here to potentially set up for the daily trend change. But obviously with the bears in full control here, they can also come down and retest the low. So we'll take it one day at a time, but looking like the start of the bounce here, right? So XLF, same concept, right? We're looking for the start of the bounce. We need to see the hourly trend change. No hourly trend change, your daily downswing will just continue here, right? So very oversold. Clear daily downtrend here for the bears. And on the weekly as well, weekly downtrend is confirmed. If we do pull into this area, guys, the 32.31 spot, I'm telling you guys, I will be writing some options on XLF 100%, right? So as of now, the bears do still control the weekly. They do still control the daily as well. We're just looking for a daily bounce. Then the size of the bounce will be key to figure out if we can set up for a daily trend change or if the bears are just going to set a lower high and potentially come back and retest these lows here. So looking for the start of some bounces here. XLV Healthcare just absolutely getting destroyed here today, guys. Lucky for them that they recovered intraday here, but they were down pretty much well over another % on the day, testing our 129 level here, guys. This was our key level to watch out for here. So daily downtrend on healthcare is very obvious at this point. The weekly downtrend as well is very obvious too. So at this point, guys, we're just looking for the bulls to play a little bit of defense here. It's been pretty much 2 months of downside on healthcare without any rise from the bulls, any significant movement from the bulls. So once again, key levels, we now have to zoom out to the monthly, guys. The key level of support for me is this whole 128 down to 126 range. Don't want to see the bulls lose this. That is the last line of defense, so keep an eye on this area. But as of now, guys, we're just looking for this bounce to get started. I will need to see an hourly trend change on XLV to let me know that the daily bounce is started, and then we see how high can we get in relation to 132.56. This whole area is going to be juicy for the bears to use because it's big resistance, moving averages, and this whole zone is resistance as well. IWM Russell coming alive, 1% gain, but in the grand scheme of things, guys, it looks like absolutely nothing, right? So IWM still oversold on the RSI down here, looking for the daily bounce to come alive here. Key levels for me on the Russell, guys, as I've said before, this 172 to 170 pocket. If we can pull down into here for some reason, right? Head and shoulders pattern is playing out now. I expect there to be big bull support down here in this whole pocket, 172, 170. If we do for some reason pull back in here in the next 2 weeks, I will be writing some options, 170 down to 165. I do think that's some good risk to reward on the Russell for me personally. Now, same as all the other indexes, we are just going to be looking for the bulls to make a push to the upside, daily push. Then anything below 186 is just going to be for a lower high. And then depending on the size of the bounce, you can determine whether or not we're going to go and retest these lows and flush lower, or if they can create enough space and then reset the daily uptrend. So key levels here, but it does seem that the bulls are putting in a slight bit of a temporary turnaround after today's trading. Obviously, they can just continue to flush Thursday and Friday, and I would not be surprised. Now, let's look into the Dow Jones, guys. Dow Jones as well, not spared today at all either. So Dow Jones down 0.2%. They were down close to 0.5% on the day here. Also need to look at the hourly trend change, guys. We have not had an hourly trend change now. We've not had an hourly trend change now in like a week, over a week, right? It's been full bear control ever since the FOMC. So in this case, guys, we need the hourly trend change. Give me an hourly trend change. I can say that your daily bounce is underway. And then you guys know the drill. Anything below 35,000 is just going to be looking for a lower high compared to this high right here. And then depends to see, can the bulls reset the daily uptrend, or are we going to come back down to the lows, retest the lows again, continue the daily downtrend, and continue also our weekly downtrend, right? So all of this is not safe now. We have some big levels of support. 33,000 is going to be a very crucial level for the bulls here because it represents pretty much your past monthly support. So we're coming down into it. Bulls have a decent amount of space to work with here, right? In relation to the grand scheme of things, good support in the 33,000 level. So I do expect the bulls to be putting in some defense. As a matter of fact, we came down to 33,300 and you can see it's starting to react pretty strong, right? Not as much follow through as in the previous days. So we'll see if they can slow it down here and potentially get one of our daily bounces going. So that's pretty much it for our major indexes here. Let us take a look at our big tech names now, yeah? So Apple, what are we doing on Apple here? Apple actually flushed the 170 area and then took it a little back today, but Apple daily downtrend just continues here. At this point, guys, we are going to be looking for a daily bounce. If we can get a daily bounce, guys, I need to get it as close as possible to 177, this guy right here, okay? The last guy who started the most recent move. When I do see a daily bounce, if we can get above 177, it's going to give the bulls the capacity to potentially reset a daily uptrend to the upside. If we do get a daily uptrend here, then your weekly bounce will be underway, and then it'll be seeing how close can we get to 190 off this weekly bounce to potentially reverse this back into a weekly uptrend here into potentially the second half of October. These weekly charts take a while to reverse, guys, right? But Apple just kind of hesitating here in my sweet spot, right? But you guys know that if we continue dropping here, continue dropping into the 160s perhaps, I will be throwing a bit more shares at Apple. I really like Apple at these levels, guys, especially on the monthly. So much space for the bulls to work with here. So I really do think that the whole 170 down to 160 range, right, is a very good area to be building some more positions on Apple for the next 9 to 12 months. So keep that in mind, guys. I like Apple, but obviously they have to start everything from scratch. Give me a daily trend change whenever this down move pops out. We'll look, can they set up for a daily trend change? Now, AMD playing some good defense here at the lows. You can see that this entire week has pretty much been trapped between the 98 and 96 level. So bears can't push any lower, but the bulls can't push any higher either. So if we do get a slight bounce underway with the rest of the markets here, you need to look out for your 104 level. 104, get me as close as possible to 104. You can then potentially set up for the daily trend change, right? But if you just hesitate down here and the market continues red, would not be surprised if we get another flush of 94.58. And then we're heading all the way down, guys, to your $90 previous support, 90 to 88, 87 area right here. That's the whole range that I'll be targeting. But AMD looking fairly good at these levels, guys. I really like AMD. My sweet spot is up here, right? So we're below my sweet spot. And trust me, if we continue dropping and we end up in the high 80s, perhaps around here, around your 200 weekly moving average, that will be definitely an average in spot for me on AMD. But now, just as all our other major tech names and all of our indexes need to see the daily uptrends set, right? So until we get the daily uptrends, we can't say that the weekly bounce is currently underway. So as of now, on everything, bears are still in control. Now we have to see the size of the bounces and can bulls recapture the daily uptrends over the next 2 weeks. Amazon also looking for a little temporary little bottom out here, right, in the 124 area. So you can see they came all the way down to 124 today, then went all the way back up to 127 and finishing pretty much in the middle flat around 126. So the reason I like the 124 is because it was previous support for a considerable time back in June here. But the bears have come in very strong. So what are we looking for? Any bounce is for a lower high under pretty much your 145. Right? We're going to be looking up here towards the moving averages and this whole previous area of support and resistance, right? So this whole 133 area, if they can bounce up to 133, we will then see, can the bulls hold this and reset for the daily uptrend? Or, as expected, will we just continue the daily downtrend flush? If we do continue the daily downtrend flush and more weekly consolidation here, well, I'll be looking for more Amazon in around the 115 zone. That's a very, very decent zone for me, right? Obviously, we've now lost the weekly uptrend, but we haven't lost the weekly, we haven't set a weekly downtrend. Weekly downtrend would be this, lower highs and lower lows. So now it's just a weekly pullback, and this is your monthly consolidation. So potentially, even if we open next week in the month of October a bit red and come down here, this would look pretty decent. And then for potential recovery throughout the rest of the next 3 months, 4 months into 2024 as well. So Amazon representing a decent little level here, but I need it to be a tiny bit cheaper for me to go a bit harder. But good sell-off, guys. Pretty much in 1 week, right? We've undone the last like 3 months of trading. So good discounts out there in the market currently. Now let's move down to Google. So Google recovering actually better than most today, up 1.5%, right? So Google tiny little bounce is underway. That's when you have to look on the hourly. We have now on Google reset the hourly uptrend. So Google, one of our first names to give us a hourly uptrend to work with here. So you can say that your daily bounce is underway. How high will we get? That is the key question, guys, right? Because anything below 140 is pretty much for a lower high, and then we'll look to see, once again, can the bulls put up some defense, reset the daily uptrend, or are we just due for another daily leg down and daily flush there pretty much, which would send us into further weekly consolidation. Weekly lows are still intact, 127 on Google, right? Google has not lost the weekly uptrend. It's one of our only names, them and the Tesla move, right, that have not sacrificed the most recent weekly lows, right? Apple, Microsoft, a lot of them have. Meta hasn't either, right? So there's a few that are holding on better than others, but there's a lot that have basically lost them as well, right? So Google, I am looking for some decent support here. 128 has always been a very, very solid level, but if for whatever which reason we continue daily downtrending here, my sweet spot is pretty much 120. If we can get down into the lower 120s here, I will definitely be writing some options below 120 on Google. Now, Meta had an event today. They really didn't say much. They were touting their new VR or AR glasses, pretty much their goggles, right? So it was a pretty good conference, you know, nothing groundbreaking, everything that we knew already, up the resolution, right? Diminish the lag, a few new features here and there, but you know, what I need to see on Meta, what everybody's been looking for on Meta has been cost control. So it remains to be seen if this is just going to be a cost pit for Meta, whether they're going to spend too much money developing this aspect of their reality lab sector, right? Because that is what really killed this stock pretty much last year. This was the entire reason for the drop, was Meta was spending too much money on these side products that were not translating into good profit, right? So that's why Meta pretty much dropped off a cliff. You can see that right here when the event started, they pretty much fell right off a cliff. And then funny enough, guys, when the market started rallying, we pretty much took it all back here. So Meta really came down to 287, 286 levels here, but doing a decent job here by the bulls of playing some defense. Why? Because this whole area, guys, these two yellow lines was the area of support. So really not surprised that the bulls were able to use that. But now at this point, guys, daily downtrend is set. But what do we have here? We have an hourly engulfing move. So we will see, can the bulls use this to set an hourly uptrend and get a higher daily bounce underway? If we can get a nice daily bounce, guys, and get close to this 311 level, well, that would negate the daily downtrend and it would set the bulls up nicely for a potential recapture of the daily uptrend here. Meta, obviously on the weekly, just tightening up, tightening range. This is the best case scenario for Meta, right? The worst case scenario would be really coming down here towards these lows and potentially flush them like Apple and Microsoft. But for now, can't say much, guys, because the price action is really, really tight, but bulls are holding on for dear life. And you kind of like to see this consolidation at the top here. Bears, even despite recent market conditions, have not been able to flush Meta. So Meta standing out pretty good here, okay? Microsoft, not too bad of a day here, 0.21% to the upside here, really consolidating at our lows. Microsoft, another one of our names, they have not set the hourly uptrend yet. Look, no hourly uptrend this entire move since pretty much the FOMC last week, right? So this entire move, we're just waiting for the hourly uptrend reset. Give me an hourly uptrend, I can say that your daily bounce is underway. Once the daily bounce is underway, guys, I sound like a broken record. All these charts are the same, even the indexes. Once the daily bounce is underway, how high does the bounce get? If we can get all the way up to 330, sets us up nicely for a daily trend change reversal Daily uptrend would mean your weekly bounce is underway. Then we look to see how high can they get in relation to 340. So it all starts with the daily bounces on all these charts here. Microsoft getting, if we do come a bit lower here, guys, getting very close to my sweet spot. I will be looking at Microsoft options next week because this is starting to be my sweet spot. 307 down to 285. So if I can get something near the 300 range, guys, I will be looking for Microsoft short puts to be adding some shares next week. Even if we do pull down below 300 potentially, I'll be adding actual long shares per se. But as of now, still awaiting your daily bounce. And now let's move down to NVIDIA. NVIDIA performing decently, guys, up 1.33% on the day here, but you can see that this week has been fairly weak for NVIDIA as a whole. So we're still dangerously close, guys, to this 400 level. The 400 level represents your weekly higher low, right? So this guy right here, right? Weekly uptrend, higher low, push up higher, weekly higher high, and now we come all the way back down, guys. So what I need to see from NVIDIA here is a break pretty much of 440. If we can get above 440, you give yourself some good chance here to reset a daily uptrend and start moving towards the highs. But with the price action so weak, if the market continues to drop here over the next few days and next week, would not surprise me if NVIDIA loses this and then loses the weekly uptrend altogether. That would be further monthly consolidation on NVIDIA. No biggie, guys. NVIDIA has a lot of space to work with here, so really not concerned for the long-term bulls on this chart. The forward PE for NVIDIA for next year is actually under 30. Their current PE is about 100, but their forward PE for next year, considering the money that they'll be making and their earnings growth, is actually under 30. So NVIDIA is not as expensive as a lot of people think right now. And that's the true moral of the story for NVIDIA, right? But as of now, just as in anything else, looking for the daily bounces to start here. NVIDIA not really setting any hourly uptrend, guys. We're kind of stuck in a range. I really need to see a break of this and start trending on the hourly, right? So NVIDIA, key level to watch here, your 400 psychological. And now let's go down to our last three. Tesla. Tesla pulling back here on the day, guys, getting as low as 234 at the peak of disaster mode around noon, 1 o'clock, and then pulling all the way back up to 240. So Tesla at one point today, guys, was down, right, almost 4%. And then finishing on the day only down 1.5%. So good recovery by the bulls, really starting to react in this whole 235 area of reaction here. Very, very big support level down here, right? So Tesla has not been spared from the sell-off either, right? Look at this nasty, nasty, nasty drop. So at this point, even Tesla looking for the hourly uptrend. Still have not got the hourly uptrend. You can see roll over, right? No hourly uptrend. Actually, we had a slight one right here, right? Last Wednesday before the FOMC, and Jerome Powell kind of killed us, right? So we are looking for the reset of the hourly uptrend. Once you get the hourly uptrend, you can say that your daily bounce is underway. And when your daily bounce is underway, you're looking to get as close as possible to 279, right? Get me past these moving averages, and then we'll look to see, can they bounce high enough for a lower high? And then we'll see, can they reset the daily uptrend at this point, guys? Or will the bears flush and take us further into my sweet spot zone? My sweet spot zone at that point would be 230 down to 212. I haven't moved it. If we do come down in this area, guys, I will be looking for more Tesla shares and more Tesla options. This is the reaction zone for me, guys. Why? Because it represents previous resistance and has acted as support here back in August, right? So Tesla currently even on the weekly tightening range, but the bulls with a lot of space to work with here. What we need is a new weekly uptrend. That's what I'm looking for here on Tesla. And now lastly, Palantir and PayPal. Palantir with a beautiful day today here, guys, right? So they got a 250, you can see it right down here. Palantir shares rise 4.7% after getting 250 million AI defense contract. Okay, so some good company-specific news on Palantir today, taking us off the lows here, but still not enough, right? Need to start getting as close as possible to 16. Decent little move here, right? Need to create some space, get as close as possible to 16. The closer we get, the better the chances of resetting a daily uptrend. And the bulls need this, guys, because we are dangerously close to your weekly lows. Look, triple bottom here, right? Triple bottom at the lows. And now we're trying to revert off of that and push higher. So it remains to be seen, can Palantir break 16 and then reset the daily uptrend? Or is this just a classic lower high move from the bulls, and then the bears are going to take this and roll over into a weekly downtrend here. So those are the key levels on Palantir, but as a whole, guys, not much price action, right? Kind of stuck in this range, no trend whatsoever here. And now lastly, PayPal bouncing off the lows. PayPal had a very bad day, guys. My portfolio actually took a little bit of a hit because of it. So PayPal at one point, guys, today from bottom to top, I mean, they were down like 5% pretty much. Very big intraday swing by PayPal here. So very, very unfortunate. We did crush our previous lows here, but not closing below them. So 57.30 is pretty much the area to look out for here, guys. The bears are in full control of this chart, unfortunately. We'll see if they can use this and broad market to sort of bounce up. But same as all our other charts, guys, same as everything, right? As soon as your daily bounce gets underway, how do you know the daily bounce is underway? Need to eventually reset an hourly uptrend. This hourly uptrend here was very, very, very weak. Very weak. So I need to see a very nice hourly uptrend of the upside. You'll be able to say your daily bounce is underway. And then whenever this move is underway here, we need to get as close as possible to our previous high 65 to give the bulls the best chance of resetting the daily uptrend. But as of now, even on the weekly, guys, looking pretty much like the start of a weekly downtrend since we did now flush here. We'll see what happens tomorrow and Friday though. But if we do close below 57, guys, it's weekly downtrend just reconfirmed over and over on PayPal, and the bulls will have to start everything from scratch. But I like the mid 50s, guys. Valuation is cheap, super cheap now. 57, go back to 57. I mean, it's like 6 years ago, right? And PayPal is making almost 2 times the amount of money, decent profitability, and decent guidance for the next few quarters and year as well. So PayPal just not loved by Wall Street currently. And now lastly, guys, my portfolio. Portfolio took a little bit of a hit today because my banking stocks were down. The yields, right? My yield play was down as well. PayPal was down. But the short put plays, even though they did come down a little bit, didn't get crushed on any options that I'm running this week too much, right? Everything is still in play. So you can see here against the SPY, we're still up 32%, and the SPY is down to about 11.3. And versus the NASDAQ, guys, you'll see that we're still slightly outperforming the NASDAQ here, tumbling ever so slightly. NASDAQ at about 25%, we're up about 32. So you can see here on the positions table, guys, a lot of my positions are still open, as a matter of fact. Let me just move over here. So you can see the AstraZeneca is 66, average price 27, down to 16 cents. AstraZeneca today, not trading down to 66 at all, actually maintaining $68 pretty much. So I'm all the way down here on Friday. If we get a slightly green day tomorrow, this position will probably be fairly worthless here. I may even be able to close it. CSIQ, I added another put here at 40 cents, right? So you can see here on the trade today, I added another 25 put at 40 cents. So if we do get assigned here, CSIQs on the 25s, I have 2 of them, average price of 32. So you can see CSIQ currently trading below 25 right now. So we'll see if we get assigned. If I get assigned on both of those guys, all average costs combined, my average cost will be around 28.33. So not that far off current price. I've done a good job here of writing premium, bringing the cost down here. And now if you do get assigned here, guys, my average cost will only be in the 28s. So it will require a lot less of a move to the upside to recover here. So fairly happy about that. Then we're moving on to the Apples here. Apple 170s are still in play, right? You guys saw where Apple is right now. So Apple trading just above 170. We'll see if we get assigned on those on Friday. Don't mind if I do. Amazon 124s, you guys can see that Amazon is still trading above 124 right now, right? So 126-ish. We'll see Friday if we get assigned on those. Fairly decent support here, though. So we'll see if the bears can actually smash that or if I just end up worthless and pocket the premium. Enphase 114s, Enphase is chilling around 120 right now. So not too nervous about this one, 120.11, 114 all the way down here at the lower end of my entire sweet spot. So all these plays, guys, you can see that I'm writing them pretty much at or slightly above my sweet spots here. Philip Morris here, Philip Morris 91s, they are in the money right now. So you can see that right here. Philip Morris, right? This whole 91 support area, $90 area, very, very good support. So if I do get assigned at 91, we're not that much below it here. I will have no problem writing calls, and it's only one contract anyways. Very decent level, guys, and they do play a very decent dividend yield, cheap valuation, and ever expanding revenue pretty much, and very decent margins. So pretty safe leading into economic turmoil if it does happen. And lastly, we closed the AMD 90s. You guys can see that AMD 90s, we wrote them earlier this week for 43 cents right here. And you can see today we closed them for 5 cents. So 90% profit, took it off the table, used the money, and wrote some Tesla. Tesla 227.5s are on deck here. Got about 70 cents for them. So you can see Tesla just chilling right now here. right here around 240, right? So 227.5 is going to be slightly lower in my sweet spot. If we get a sign, perfect. I'll write some calls, no problem at all. And today I did add 100 shares of TMF, so you guys can see that as well. This is the TLT play, 20-year bonds. So I pretty much picked the lows on that. You can see that I bought them here. This was a drip share that I got here today. TMF, you can see 100 shares filled at 4.77. So did a little average down on that. And you can always see that I bought my banking shares, 50 shares of my banking ETF, HCAL. HCAL is the Canadian weighted banking ETF. Bought it once again, pretty much very close to the low of the day. So just averaging into that, guys. Tomorrow is ex-dividend, so I'll be able to get even more dividends on those shares. Now I'm pretty much up to about 6-7 shares per month that I'm just reinvesting at lower and lower prices. So the position is just building and building and building and building. So that's pretty much it for the portfolio today, guys. That's pretty much it for today's trading as well. So if you guys enjoyed the video, consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new as well. We'd love to have you here. The channel's growing, guys. I love you guys and I appreciate all the support. And as usual, if you have any questions, comments on either macro, options plays, stock plays, whatever you guys want, I'm definitely here to answer it for you. I'll be glad to answer it. Usually get back to you the same night or within 24 hours. So hope you guys had a great day trading. I'll see you tomorrow after the close, and peace.